you've got to get to a size like that other guy's at, or have a product that can be built at scale where the customer believes you can accomplish something. That, I think, is the challenge for the startups and these defense tech guys, is understanding how does their little thing fit into the system of systems. The culture's mine. I own it. I'm the guy. But it takes all of us to own it and execute on it for it to hold.
Hey, welcome back. It's the Aerospace Executive Podcast. I'm really happy to have John Albers with me. John is former Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel, pilot, and now the CEO, founder of Albers Aerospace down in Texas, which is growing rapidly. So great to see you, John. Thanks for coming on.
Great to be seen, Craig. Thank you. For a minor note for the record, I retired as an 06.
My apologies.
No, yeah, you can do push-ups later.
I'll do it. Good.
All good. It wouldn't have been bad to retire as 05. I was very fortunate to be picked for 06. So, but yeah, man, it's an honor for me to be on here. You and I have known each other for a while. You've seen the story. This month is 10 years in the journey to entrepreneurship and what is today known as Albers Aerospace. And you saw it when it was probably, I think, me plus me. Maybe we were talking. I think it might have been then, right? So you and I have known each other a long time and sort of monitored each other on this entrepreneurial journey. And like I was just saying off camera, you've done a great job yourself and making an impact, which is really what I'm passionate about, is making impact.
You did a great job of burning all the ships. You burned all the ships. You kind of went all in. And so now you got 9 sites around the country.
Yeah. We're so retired for the Marine Corps in 2014 and started this thing in 15 after another little side journey that didn't go very well, frankly. Did a touch and go at Raytheon to I thought that's where I'd be the rest of my life, and ended up in a scenario where I was getting offered a promotion without what I felt was like a commensurate compensation change. And I had been struggling with, I think I want to try one more time. And my bride of now 34 years was kind enough, after getting smoked on that little retail thing that I did. I mean, absolutely smoked, man. Got burned bad, lost a lot of money. She was willing to let me try again. And, if she hadn't, she gets tons of credit, because if she hadn't said yes, I'm for you, go ahead and try one more time, then I wouldn't be here. Anyway, kudos to my wife. She won't listen to this podcast, but I want everybody else out there to know she'll
listen. She'll sniff it. She'll sniff it out.
She'll sniff it out. I highlighted her, and we just had a 10th anniversary celebration, and there were about 50 or 60 people there. I made sure I told that part of the story and gave her a round of applause, because she could have been that one, right? And she would have been absolutely in her right to do that, because I made some pretty bad errors, right? So to your point, like burn the ships, I decided I had a choice. One, there's a conclusion I needed to come to, and then a choice. One was, I'm not as smart as I thought I was about business. Been an acquisition guy in the Marine Corps, did myself pretty smart guy, could do a lot of cool things with spreadsheets and make things work. And I was like, shoot, man, I really don't know anything. So I took Colonel Albers and put him in the closet and said, he's not coming out unless I say should come out. And it only in the right audiences where it sort of matters, because a vet is a vet, right? It doesn't matter what our rank is. A veteran's a veteran. Mm-hmm. And then I decided, like, hey, I got to go to school. And I didn't mean formal school. I'd gotten an MBA from a school called North Central University when I was in active duty, but and it was valuable. I don't want to be disparaging of it, but taking spreadsheets to actions and making payroll, as you know, is like really hard. And so I just became a voracious student of my trade, essentially, which was to be a business owner and a leader. And so I've spent the last 10 years I taught myself bookkeeping. I taught myself organizational theory. I studied other companies, because, I'm just an Aggie and a Marine and a 2.9 guy at that from A&M. I'm not even the smartest guy in the world. So I'm not that good, man. God gets the credit, and I'm showing up working hard every day. And, but I'm having a blast, man. I am having an absolute blast, even when it's super hard, because it's hard.
but it's one of those things where everybody thinks it's easy and they see your success, but they don't see the roads. But it's funny you mentioned your wife because I always give my wife credit too.
Yeah.
She's been my biggest frustration sometimes because she asks hard questions that you then have to answer.
Yeah. Right.
And she's got an MBA from William and Mary, so when she starts asking me hard questions,
They're hard. Yeah.
it's like, all right,
Yeah.
So it's really. Talk about what you're doing at Albers. You've grown rapidly. You're supporting the warfighter.
Yep.
Talk about you got 9 sites out there now. Talk about what you guys are doing.
Sure. And appreciate that opportunity. We're basically, we would call ourselves we're kind of a medium, if you will, right? We're not quite a full medium, or we're not a small. We're a next gen prime, I would say, right? We're a guy, like, philosophically, I want to be the best subcontractor or vendor to the primes, because the primes need good vendors in the tier 3, tier 4 space. I'm super passionate about being one of their best. We got places that we can do better. And then we're in the space where the primes don't want to play. I want to be the best prime that we can. Now, we had to grow to get there. 3 years, the story is 3 years by myself, 3 years growing organically to about 80 people and around $12 million a year in revenue. And then I had an epiphany, like, hey, if I really want to grow fast, and crap, I'm not getting younger, I got to go start. I read a book called Buy and Build. And I was like, dude, that's what I need to do. But again, too dumb to know I could go ask people for money. So I just was like, okay, I got to figure this out. And so, it was the first company we acquired. That guy took a bet on me. I had one of my customers was very gracious and gave me an advance on a contract so I could have some capital to put towards it. It made for skinny days for the next 7 months, because we weren't getting that revenue. We put it to work here, and then we smashed this thing together, and then bought another one. And then a year later, got another one. And then, again, eventually sort of gets momentum and things go. But the whole idea was I wanted to be able to manufacture, because when having my time in the Marine Corps, I knew that the industrial base had some challenges. I wanted to be a part of solving those challenges in some way, and was crazy enough to think I could actually do it. So I knew I wanted to have manufacturing because we had a real problem set there, and a demographic issue, a lot of aging baby boomers, and that didn't want anything to do with as they were retiring, their kids don't want anything to do with the business. So I wanted to grab that capability. Because I didn't ask for money, services became like the persistent or predictable, revenue sources, right? Mm-hmm. And then in 2019, kind of dumbed into an opportunity. And so that's when we created this third. So we have industrials, defense, which is services, and then innovation. And I kind of dumbed into that one. That wasn't a part of the original plan, but it became opportunistic. And so we're really, like I said, a next gen prime that's delivering capabilities to the warfighter, either through the primes as one of their best, whether it's manufacturing or services. And then in our own right, in the things the primes don't like to deal with, we are attacking problems that matter for the warfighter, where speed matters, and we're delivering value. It's because I'm super cost conscious. I want to stay really lean. I have a phrase that says, just because everything is allowable in the regs doesn't mean it's profitable. And what I mean by that is you can make your rates so big, allowable, but then you can't win work because nobody wants to pay that price. And so that has also been the fun part. It's sort of reshaping, people's thinking right around that. So anyway, that's at a very macro level, that's what we do. And I'd love to tell you I'm this great business guy. The truth is I'm a student. I tell people I'm a 32-year-old businessman, a 56-year-old man's body. And the math there is 24 years in the Marine Corps. And I know I got a lot to learn. I'm studying my craft every day, trying to be better, talking to guys like you, listening to your podcast, reading things you write, and others. Try to read 2 books a month to study about what's out there, business books, people's stories, etc. I'm just a big believer, especially as we all get older, you stay younger by engaging the brain and being a student, right? Working out, doing those things. So anyway, that's us.
It's interesting. I was talking to the CEO of another small company, $40 million, $50 million revenue company. They make avionics. And the DoD is pummeling them right now, like in a good way,
Mm.
because they're all looking for, hey, we need fast, innovative, short product development times.
Mm-hmm.
You seeing the same, and they're coming to these small companies. It's, that develop it quick to market, low overhead, capital costs. The big prime Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman gravy train seems like it's shifting focus to smaller companies like you. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, I am definitely seeing an attraction to, can you go fast, right? And cost less essentially. I mean, there's things that the bigs do that just can't do as a schmedium or a medium or whatever, right? They're big. They have an enterprise and they need to do those things. Like the primes won't go away. It's easy to vilify them, but the truth of the matter is and I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying, like in the press, they can be that way. But there's just things that they do that at scale that the rest of us could never do. And if you look at the marketplace, there's some natural breaks. There's stuff the smallest do that's some of it's interesting, right? And sort of philosophically as a country, we want to support small business. And then there's this stuff in the middle that when you're really, really big, you don't want to mess with it. It doesn't move the needle. And so I think there are some really unique opportunities. Now, part of my thesis in building the thing was over consolidation at the top, right? If we go back to the 90s and the Last Supper that Norm Augustine labeled it, and the over consolidation of the primes here in the last 25, 30 years has kind of created a need for these medium-sized businesses that haven't grown there. So there's ironically, when you think of over consolidation, there's a roll-up opportunity down low, right? When you consider demographics and sort of the way our population and the business population has progressed in the last 30 years, there's an opportunity for a roll-up there for people who want to do that, to lean into it, try to strike good deals, patch something together. And I think there's a lot of what we found is acquiring from founders who care. This is not to be disparaging of the money guys either. They care more about who's getting it and like the family feel of it than they do maybe an extra turn of EBITDA for their business, right? Because this is their baby, they built the thing, and they feel really passionate about it. And so that's a place where I like to go look as we're trying to expand our capability sets to be meaningful for the customer. So, but I think you got to get to a size to go back to your original question. Hey, are you seeing this? You've got to get to a size like that other guy's at, or have a product that can be built at scale where you can act, where the customer believes you can accomplish something. Because otherwise, it's interesting that you're a small, but they need things at scale. They don't need the onesies and twosies, and they don't need, this one toothpick that they need that toothpick to fit into a larger thing, right? And so that I think is the challenge for the startups and these defense tech guys, is understanding how does their little thing fit into the system of systems and where it can be meaningful to the customer. Because defense tech in and of itself isn't magical. It's how does it fit into the system, right? And then there's all the other hard parts, contracts, understand the money, yada yada. So
it's a fun time right now.
Oh man, it's really fun. I think for me personally, because I think the industry's shook up right now, and the administration certainly leaning heavily. It was coming in the previous administration, even it was getting shook up. There was, because you go back to 2018, 2019 is when the article like we got too much consolidation at the top, and that was all kind of in there. Now it's just being sort of forced because of other, again, geography issues, right? Regionalization and other regional conflicts around the world. It's sort of highlighting the challenges. And so it feels like it's going really fast. But what we talk about all the time is like everything that we've all thought about the industry and the way it should behave in the last 30 years is probably up for grab.
Right? Well, Ukraine changed everything, right? So it changed how we got what we're going to buy, how we're going to buy. Speed is life. It's good. And it's fun to see. And look, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, those guys build amazing stuff. I was talking to a lady who was at Northrop Grumman working on black programs, and she was like very, like, don't ask, anything, but you could just kind of talk about, listen to what she was doing. I'm like, man, it's
There's some
amazing.
really, yeah,
It's
they do,
amazing. It's
they
amazing
do
stuff.
things that because of their size, we could not accomplish as a country if they did not exist. And so, like, that's where, I mean, again, there's negative things about being a small.
Yeah.
There's negative things about being really big, and there's, bureaucracy and all these other things. But the beauty of this country and its business philosophy is that creates markets, sub-markets, and all those things inside of there where everybody can exist, ultimately make the customer happy, and do amazing things. Because what we talk about all the time is people first, mission always. We want to be, I am personally as the leader. My big focus, Craig, is trying to help every person on our team be the best version of themselves. That's my goal. And we're not going to be perfect in that. Want to be the best version of themselves so that collectively we're the best version of ourselves so we can deliver the best and the most impacts to the customer. You and I both served.
Yeah.
I am doing this somewhat because I served, but like I have a son-in-law who's an E5 TAC-P guy, and I care because he's out there at the pointy edge.
Right.
I'm not supporting that guy in any way, shape, or form, but I guess I'll say I live vicariously through the other things that we do and feel like I'm supporting him indirectly. And, hey, I care because he's out there. And I want to do that. Yeah.
Fast growing business. Well, how are you? You talk about leadership, people first. You talk about, people, they're coming into a fast business.
Mm-hmm.
How are you ensuring that they keep up?
Yeah. That's hard work.
That scares a lot of people. How's your leadership training from the Marine Corps and everything you did as an aviator? How's that played into the business aspect?
Well, that's a great question. I think, as aviators, right, that when we're learning how to fly, they tell us you got to be ahead of the airplane, right? You can't be behind. You can't be out hanging on the horizontal stabilizer. So we've joked around internally here a lot, like we're building the airplane as we fly it. Because we are growing super fast. I've got to be a student of my craft. So Marine Corps taught me a lot about leadership, but they don't teach you how to do business. And so there's a lot of learning back to the 32-year-old business guy. So teaching people, I think I've gotten, there's tons more growth for me personally, but that's the other thing, trying to make sure I'm challenging myself, growing as a leader, making sure I earn my position every day. Just because my name's on the wall doesn't mean I can be a lazy leader and just cruise. I need, for the folks that work for the company, my teammates, because we don't call people employees here, we call them teammates. And I did that for a reason, like a sports analogy. Everybody's role is important. I'm not better because I'm the CEO and this person's a payroll specialist or an executive assistant. Hey, we all have the same amount of time in the day. And everybody's role is important. So we're going to call each other teammates, because it always felt like if I said, oh, I'm the owner and you're an employee, it means like I'm better than you. And I just didn't like it, even though we both came from hierarchical organizations. Yes, we have to have structure. Yes, I have a role, but my role is different. And if everybody does their job, amazing stuff can happen. So those are the things we talk about all the time as a company, as a leadership team. I'm actually instituting two really important leadership programs this year. Took me 9.5 years to figure out I needed to do something like really significant to go do it. But we're instituting like what we would call like an NCO leadership academy. Like for middle managers, it's a 12-week taking like what we would know as an NCO leadership course, taking those principles translated to business. I've hired an outside company that's helping us with that. They happen to be Marine guys. A little biased in that respect. And so like we're handpicking those people, right? We're conducting that. And then actually, ironically, today we just started the kickoff for a year-long Albers Leadership Development Program that I've got outside people coming in to teach leadership. We're going to talk about strategy, like our corporate strategy. What does that mean and it's like directors and above. What does that mean to them so they can understand what's this crazy guy, John, like, why did he write all that strategy stuff? What does it mean to me? I want to translate that, right? Talk about our culture. And then the other thing is business principles. Teach them how to read a P&L, how to read a balance sheet. Why do we care about what looks like on the balance sheet? And why do we care about what happens with the financials every month and credit agreements and all these things that I've learned along the way? But if the folks understand those things, they can be a better version of themselves for the team, right? And make good decisions. And then And then that's where I can reiterate speed.
Mm.
We've got to have processes in place, but not processes for the sake of process. We got to have processes because I want thinkers, man. That's what I learned, from the Marine Corps, from flying airplanes. You know, I both saw it, right? You got to think, man. The checklist is there. There's a little thing in NATOP says the aircraft commander gets to make decisions. And I've literally clipped out pieces of that and put them on briefs and everything, right? Like, I want thinkers, man. I want people who will think. If you can't, because very few people think anymore, I feel like. I think we're all,
TikTok nation.
Yeah, man, we're glued to the 30-second soundbite, and then nobody's like pondering. And so I'm trying to be super intentional in that respect. And I just got I'd say I just got religion on that in coming out of Q1, which is part of it is embarrassing, having been in the Marines, been a big leadership guy my whole life. Like, really, Albers, you just figured out like you really should invest heavy into that. But it's true. And so again, one thing I am is decisive when I see it, like, okay, we're going to execute this thing. Got the concept in April and we kicked it off today. It's a year long and it's 80% built. It's good enough. We're going to get it out and go. We'll fix it along the way. I'm a believer in that because I saw too many things sit and wait till they were perfect or good enough. And then it takes too long, costs too much. So it's super fun, man. I'm having a blast.
It's a little Jack Welch in there, a little Jack Welch with Crotonville. The one thing, now they ended Crotonville. What was the thing? Take their middle managers up and
right.
And I just did.
I actually think that was a mistake, to be honest with you. I really do. I think, I've read a lot about that place. That's the other thing I love reading other people's business stories. Like I read a lot and I mostly read about other businesses and their stories or, executives. One day when you write a book, I'll read yours. How do I learn from them? What did they do? And there's a lot of places that do these educational things, but I'm trying to make it more encompassing than just leadership, right? We want to teach people how to execute strategy, how to do business fundamentals, how to do those things. Because what I have figured out as we've grown is, the culture's mine. I own it. I'm the guy, but it takes all of us to own it and execute on it for it to hold.
Yep.
And so I need more people that really understand what I'm doing or trying to do, I should say, from my seat, so we can do better.
Who do you, Wall Street Journal every Saturday, it interviews executives and says, who's your board? Who's your personal board of advisors? Who do you reach out to when you want to think about, when you're thinking about business? Yeah, it gets a little lonely at the top sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Who do you reach out to?
It is lonely. We have a board. I put together a formal board for the company almost 3 years ago this fall. So I have great people. There's 8 people on that board besides myself that are every quarter, we report to them. It's not a controlling board, but it is a board that we conduct it as if it is. Like they're asking hard questions, pounding on us, and they get responsible for, like, I get to set the strategy and tell them what we're going to go do, and then they're holding me accountable for it, right? But that was a choice that I made to professionalize the business and professionalize myself, make myself a better executive. So we have that. I hired a CEO mentor a few years ago. Place called Building Champions. Somebody else had recommended that entity to me, and the guy Daniel Harkavy, I think is his name. He'd written some early leadership books that I'd read in the early 2000s. Anyway, got this guy from there who's a been there and done it kind of guy. We both love hockey, both love Jesus, and he was super successful and did an exit. So we meet. It's a year-long contract. That guy's challenging me. You'll get a kick out of this. Like I quit exercising when I left the Marine Corps, and then did not exercise until a year ago next month. I was like, I'm done. I don't need to do that. Got soft, flabby. I hated myself, right? But I'd gotten into this rut, man, where I would say, I want to do it. So I told him when I hired him a couple of years ago, I'm like, I want to exercise. Okay, goal. 18 months in, he's like, hey, man, I'm taking that goal off. Because you know what you keep telling me is you get some dumb excuse as to why you can't do it. I'm like, all right, now you piss me off, right? Now I'm going to do it. So I hired a separate coach to get me back in the gym. To go exercise. And I feel so good, right? Like us old guys, we got to get out there and exercise, man. We're battling the inevitable. It's coming, but let's fight it, right?
I'm not going down easy.
That's right. Yeah. So I do have people, to your point, I've got outside people speaking into me that I can call or that I just engage with, and reading. And I approach it as like, I got to learn every day, man. I got to learn. Tomorrow's the first day that that I've ever built a company or been in charge of a company that's been around for this long. And so I sort of look at every day as the first day that I've ever been in that job. So I got to be a student and learn. Which again, for me, just the way I'm wired is super fun.
So I figure every transitioning officer and their dog are calling you up and going, "Hey, what do I need to do here?"
Yeah.
And they call me too. And I'm like, "Hey, look, your military experience is relevant.
Right.
You learned a lot, but yeah, you're learning. Yeah, you learned tennis, and we're playing lacrosse. We're playing football or something different. You're in a totally new stadium now."
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think the mental view is super important, right? Like for veterans, like first off, we're not owed anything because we took the oath and served. We really aren't. You shouldn't get a handout. Like, okay, yes, you're a unique individual that chose to serve and you should be honored for that, but you don't get handouts. Like we got to reinvent ourselves. We come out. It's really interesting when you think about it. The military spends upwards of 12 or 18 months turning you into the unique warfighting sailor that you were, me into a Marine, right? On the back end, man, we take 2 weeks and we pitch them back to society. And like, dude, that transition's even harder coming the other way. And I don't care if you did 4 or 24 or 30. Might be harder the longer you've done it, right? But that's why I love it when guys reach out, guys and gals. And if I can be helpful, I want to. Again, my story, my view is one. I personally think that if you're getting a retirement check, you ought to have to mentor people. It ought to be a requirement for you to draw your check. But you can't do it for 2 or 3 years after you've been out, because the truth is you don't know anything for the first 2 or 3 years, really, that could be valuable to somebody leaving, right? Other than, maybe some fundamental misstep or something like that. But like, you ought to have to do that. You ought to have to formally mentor a couple people, three, 4 a year, and sort of walk them through the transition, because as well-intentioned as TAP is, or whatever they call it these days, it's not that good. It's just,
no, it's one size fits all for everybody. It's a government program. It's not meant to be that good. But what did you learn? What was the hardest lesson as a CEO?
The hardest lesson, probably, if I'm totally honest with you, was the first deal was that I'm just not as smart. I needed humility. I was confident, right? You're officer and Navy, I don't care what you're going to be confident. I was probably a little too confident, and I needed to get my rear end kicked so that I could realize, like, hey, to really be. And if you go study a lot of great business leaders, they're all really humble guys. The ones who are really good, that are sustainable. There's a lot of leaders that look good for a while, and then you find out later, like, oh, this empire was kind of crumbling, and there were some other things. The really good ones are super humble, and I need to get my rear end kicked, man, to realize, like, I'm not that freaking smart, and I need to approach this in a different way. And, my view is, as a company, it's like a sports team. Somebody's coming for your roster spot, right? You might have a spot on the roster. Somebody's coming to take that spot, man. Maybe even before you showed up for camp, there's already somebody thinking about your spot that you're about to get. They're coming. And so I think about that as a company, like, dude, somebody's coming. There's another Albers out there that's coming to get us. And there's a part that I really like about that, the competitiveness and the sports analogy thing. But it's also a reality, right? The mission's never done in business. You know that. Like, tomorrow's tomorrow. Today's today. Yeah. Great. Now you got to get up and do it again. And on this side of the chapter in the book, you don't get paid for breathing, man. You got to show up and deliver value.
That was the thing I found. People, I think about business.
Yeah.
It never turns off. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur is. Yeah.
And I love it. It energizes me personally.
But it never, you're always thinking. And even when I'm in the gym, I've got my iPhone and I'm typing notes, and you're right. It's always on. It's like, I don't watch a lot of movies. I actually this weekend watched 2 movies, which is like, I should write that down. One of them was a movie I'd watched before, Miracle. I'm a big hockey guy. I love my boys. Okay. My wife and I have 3 boys, a daughter and 3 boys. And the boys all played or are playing hockey. And Miracle is one of my favorite movies, man. What a great story. I mean, Herb Brooks,
was countercultural in what he wanted to build.
Mhm.
He blew everybody's mind. They thought he was a nut because it wasn't the way it was done. And he did it, right? He pulled off the biggest upset probably in the history of sports. But there's some great stuff in that movie, man. And then I watched 12 Strong. So that was other
Okay.
watched. Chris Miller's on our board, former Secretary of Defense for Trump. What a great, humble guy, man. So what a joy to be able to sit around with that warrior and listen to him talk, right? He's awesome. So anyway.
It's funny, but yeah, no, I'm with you too. You know, success comes to the paranoid, right? It's great quote somewhere there. You know,
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
you're always thinking about it. You're always paranoid about your roster slot.
Yeah, man.
And
that makes you go to work. Like, get up and go to work.
So
get stuff done. We use a different word that has to do with going to the bathroom, and that's the name of my phone. So that when it connects in the car, it's a reminder, like, you got to show up and get stuff done, man, every freaking day.
Yes.
And you know this too, guys in our spot, like guys and gals, vacation is not really, you're not off. You just can't, you're never off. Like, but I find great energy in it. And, my encouragement to people is go find what you're passionate about, and then put all your chips in there, man. Go for it, right?
Absolutely. What's next for you guys? I mean, you've got 9 sites, you're growing.
Yeah, I mean, in one sense, it's
continue that on.
Oh yeah. No, we're very creative or acquisitive. We can be, we can probably do bigger deal sizes than we have, just because of our current capital structure and all that's going on. But yeah, I want to continue to I want to make impacts, man. They're not going to talk about how much money I had when I'm done. They're going to talk about how much impact I made on the people and the country. And so, that's the story that I want told, and that I did it well, and, honored my family, and they felt cared for and loved and valued. So, my personal thesis is that means my role that I've been given from the good Lord is to do as much as we can. I'm not a big golfer. Don't like sitting on the beach, and we got a country to turn around. We got an industrial base to re-energize, and I want to be a part of that. So we want to look for those good opportunities, continue to grow organically, improving the performance of our team, and where the timing is right with an acquisition. And so we'll continue to be acquisitive, and just keep trying to remember there's somebody coming. As long as we're delivering value, we're good. So as we can't do that anymore, then we should probably hang up our skates and call something else, right?
It's been a great story to watch.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you being a part of it, and you've helped me along the way in a couple things. And then again, early days, helping listening to me dream a little bit and tell me what you thought about it. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. I feel like I'm living in a movie right now, just because there's a lot of fun stuff happening, and it's a great credit to our team. I'm the guy that gets to enjoy sort of the accolades, but the Marine Corps taught me leaders eat last. I still do that here. I'm the last guy that eats when we do stuff, because just like in the Marine Corps, it's not about the officers, it's about the Marines. I take the same view here. I tried to take all the good stuff that I could from the Marine Corps and apply it here in a slightly different context. And I think we got a handful of other Marines in the company, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that. We could do better, but yeah, it's been super fun, man. Super fun.
Website is albers.aero. Correct?
Yeah. Yep. And we should have a new one rolling out here in probably 30 days or 45 days. We're working on a slightly different, the logo's the same, but just redoing the website, and as we continue to expand our capabilities and make it a little tighter. So albers.aero.
Awesome.
Yeah. If you want to be entertained, go take a look at it. So
looking forward to see it.
Thanks,
John, thanks for coming on.
Than's for having me, Craig.
Congratulations on your success. It's been fun to watch.
Thanks, man. You too.
Everybody's talking about you right now, so it's in a good way. It's great to watch.
All right, sir. Take care, buddy.
Thanks.
Yep. Bye-bye.